Running a business is hard enough, so why make it harder with a dozen different apps that don't talk to each other? Introducing Odoo, the only business software you'll ever need. It's an all-in-one, fully integrated platform that makes your work easier. From CRM, accounting, inventory, e-commerce, and more. And the best part, Odoo replaces multiple expensive platforms for a fraction of the cost. That's why over thousands of businesses have made the switch. So why not you? Try Odoo for free at odoo.com. That's ODOO.com.
We're interrupting this podcast to ask you a very important question. Have you had your Hershey's? When you need to brighten up your day, put a smile on your face with the classic creamy texture and pure milk chocolate flavor of Hershey's milk chocolate. Whether you're eating it on the go, breaking off a few pieces for s'mores night, or just treating yourself to something sweet, Hershey's milk chocolate checks all the boxes. Shop for Hershey's milk chocolate now at a store near you, found wherever candy is sold.
When it comes to gifting, everyone on your list deserves something special. Luckily, Marshall's buyers travel far and wide, hustling for great deals on amazing gifts so you don't have to. That means your mom gets that cashmere sweater, your best friend, that Italian leather bag, your coworkers unwrap their favorite beauty brands, and your nephews, the coolest new toys. Go ahead. At prices this good, you can grab something for yourself, too. Marshall's. We get the deals, you gift the good stuff. Shop now at marshalls.com or find a store near you.
Lowe's early Black Friday deals are going fast. Don't miss up to 50% off select major appliances. Plus, up to an extra 25% off when you bundle select major appliances. And with Christmas around the corner, you're gonna need more string lights, right? Save $4 on GE LED 100-count string lights, now just $5.98. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 12/3. Selection varies by location. Select locations only. While supplies last. See Lowe's.com for more details.
Are you ready to get spicy?
These Doritos Golden Sriracha aren't that spicy.
Sriracha? Sounds pretty spicy to me.
A little spicy, but also tangy and sweet.
Maybe it's time to turn up the heat.
Or turn it down. It's time for something that's not too spicy. Try Doritos Golden Sriracha.
Spicy.
But not too spicy.
What is art without the muse? Many of Western art's most famous works are depictions of women. But who were these women? Do they have their own stories to share with the world? Hello and welcome to ArtMuse, a podcast that aims to reshape the ways in which we interpret well-known works of art by paying dues to the women whose images have been immortalized, but whose names and stories have been wrongfully overlooked. While these women's faces are familiar to viewers around the world, their identities have been largely forgotten. Together we will explore the important lives and legacy of the female muse and appreciate these works of art from a new perspective, through the eyes of the women whose image stares back at us. Is the muse in actuality just as, if not more, important than the artists themselves? And I'm your host, Grace Anna. Her voice not only brought sold-out theaters to tears, but moved an entire nation towards racial equality and freedom. Through the merit of her own talent, open heart, and unwavering determination, she defied the countless odds stacked against her as a Black woman in Jim Crow America, and carved the way for the civil rights movement. But though she changed the course of American history, above all else, she was a masterful singer, whose voice Toscanini once said only came along once in 100 years. Listeners, today I introduce you to the famed contralto Marian Anderson, who not only broke hearts but also racial barriers with her soulful singing. Born in South Philadelphia in 1897 into a Black working-class family, Marian's beginnings were humble. But what her family may have lacked in financial resources, they made up for with unconditional love and support for Marian's early passion for music. It became clear from childhood that Marian was a musical prodigy and had a unique talent for singing. Her local church was already advertising her voice when she was only 10 years old. and she began touring the country with her church's adult choir before the age of 13. Her career as a soloist took off when she joined forces with accompanist Billy King, and by the age of 18, Marian was performing at prominent venues, such as the Philadelphia Academy of Music. Her big break came in 1925, when Marian won the New York Philharmonic Prize and was granted the opportunity to perform with the Philharmonic's orchestra, turning her into an overnight sensation. Throughout Marian's long career as a singer, she went on to perform with some of the most renowned orchestras and musical talents of her time, including the famed conductor Leonard Bernstein. She toured all over the world, not just across America, but also throughout Europe and Asia, and sang on some of the biggest stages on the globe. She performed a wide range of music, from gospel to spirituals and eventually to opera. And she garnered international acclaim and impressive accolades, including a Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award in 1991. Unfortunately, Marian's international success did not protect her from racial discrimination in her own country. For much of her career, Marian faced the harsh realities of Jim Crow America and was turned away from schools, venues, hotels, and restaurants due to the color of her skin. As Marian once said of racism, "Nobody sees it, but it's there and you can feel it." And though she tried her best to keep her head held high, Marian certainly felt it on countless occasions over her long career. The most notable of these occasions was in 1939, when the Daughters of the American Revolution refused to let Marian sing at Constitutional Hall in Washington, D.C., because of the color of her skin. News of the incident quickly spread, and Marian soon found herself at the center of a heated national debate over racial inequality in America. The situation intensified so much that eventually Eleanor Roosevelt stepped in Marian's defense and invited Marian to instead perform in front of the Lincoln Memorial. Dubbed the Easter Sunday performance, Marian sang an open-air concert to an audience of over 75,000 people in front of the statue of the man who had put an end to slavery in America. As a result, Marian became not only a national icon, but an important figure in the early civil rights movement, paving the way for civil rights leaders such as Martin Luther King Jr. and Rosa Parks. Marian would later go on to participate in the movement, singing at the famous March on Washington in 1963. And her legendary performance at the Lincoln Memorial would not be the only moment that Marian broke racial barriers in her career. In January of 1955, she became the first Black singer to ever perform at the renowned Metropolitan Opera, performing the role of Ulrica in Verdi's Un ballo in Mascara. And in 1957, Marian was the first Black singer to perform at a presidential inauguration, singing for President Eisenhower. And her fearless and groundbreaking career as a singer earned her distinguished positions and impressive awards. In 1958, Marian was appointed as a delegate to the United Nations Human Rights Committee, as well as a Goodwill Ambassador for the United States. In 1963, she was one of the first recipients of the Presidential Medal of Freedom. In 1977, she was awarded the Congressional Gold Medal, one of the highest awards given to individuals who have made important contributions to American history. And in 1986, she received the Kennedy Center Honor, given to individuals who have made significant contributions in the performing arts. As a result of her many successes, Marian was captured across the mediums by some of the most renowned artists of the 20th century. She was photographed by both Irving Penn and Richard Avedon, and painted by Buford Delaney, William H. Johnson, and Betsy Graves Renew, among others. The fact that Marian was captured by some of the greatest artists of her day, especially as a Black woman living through some of the darkest periods of racial injustice in America, attests to Marian's immense notoriety. In these portraits, many of which allude to her concert in front of the Lincoln Memorial, Marian is portrayed as strong, dignified, and distinguished. Always one to put her career first, Marian waited until she was 46 years old to marry her high school sweetheart. They spent their later years together on Mariana Farm, a farm they built together in Connecticut. Here, Marian enjoyed the pleasures of a simpler life, like gardening and caring for her many pets and farm animals. She lived until the old age of 96, passing away in 1993 of congestive heart failure. Today, Marian is not only recognized as one of the greatest singers of the 20th century, but as an important figure in American history, who fought for racial justice and equality with her powerful and unforgettable voice. As the Smithsonian Museum writes, Marian Anderson's fight for freedom was based on her singing and her actions. Her voice, a deep current of hope that could break your heart into a million pieces while helping a fractured nation to heal at the same time. In this episode, we hope to further honor Marian's legacy as a fearless woman who led with love, kept her head high through continued discrimination and adversity, and had a voice so beautiful that it was able to unite a broken nation. Without further ado, let's dive in to Marian Anderson's incredible life story. Marian Anderson was born on February 27, 1897, in South Philadelphia. She was the first child of John Berkeley Anderson and Anne Delilah Rucker. Her father, John Anderson, was born in South Philadelphia and worked in the refrigerator room at the Reading Terminal Market, as well as ran a small side business selling coal and ice. He was also the head usher at his local Union Baptist Church, a place that would eventually play an important role in fostering Marian's musical talent. Her mother, Anne Rucker, who primarily went by Annie, was born in Virginia. Annie's parents impressed upon her at an early age the importance of education, and Annie eventually attended a college in Lynchburg, an impressive feat given her race and sex. After college, Annie went on to become a school teacher. John and Annie first became acquainted in 1895, when they were in their late teens. Marian later described their meeting as a whirlwind romance. As Marian once wrote, "On a summer vacation visit to her older sister, my mother, a Virginian by birth, came to Philadelphia from Lynchburg, where she was a school teacher. It was Mother's brother-in-law who introduced her to his friend, the unusual young man who neither drank, smoked, nor chewed, was an active Christian, a steady worker, and maintained his own room in the home of his parents. And so it is little wonder that she would become Mrs. John Berkeley Anderson." Though they fell in love at first sight, John and Annie were a bit of a funny pair. John was over 6 feet tall, and Annie was particularly short and plump. But they bonded over their shared faith and belief in hard work. John and Annie were married within a year of meeting, and Marian was born just 2 years later. For the first few years of Marian's life, she lived with her parents in a small rented room. But once her 2 younger sisters, Alice and Ethel, were born, they moved into a small home on Columbia Street in South Philadelphia. Their neighborhood was predominantly composed of Black working-class families and brimmed with buzzing activity. Though the family had moved into a house with more space, they were not able to afford a proper bathroom. This meant that Marian and her sisters were scrubbed once a week in a wooden tub on the kitchen floor. But what they may have lacked in money, her parents made up for with emotional security. As Marian once said, "We were poor folk, but there was a wealth in our poverty, a wealth of love and faith." Despite her impoverished beginnings, Marian described herself as a happy and giggly girl. She was particularly social and quickly made friends with everyone in the neighborhood. Though her parents couldn't afford much, on the weekends her father would organize family picnics in nearby parks, and once a year he took Marian and her sisters to see the circus. As Marian fondly recalled, "Our big outing each year was a trip to the Barnum and Bailey Circus. To us, it felt like a great journey away from home. We prepared for the day long in advance. It was the next biggest day to Christmas. Father would buy us something new to wear, a basket or two was prepared, and off we went, taking a trolley car for what seemed like an endless ride. We had wonderful lunches and afternoon snacks. Our eyes were big with delight, trying to follow all of the acts going on at the same time under the big tent." Despite these happy memories, as the eldest, Marian was expected to help her mother run the household by the time she was just 6 years old. She was tasked with sweeping the floors, wiping coal off the windows, and setting the table. Though her chores were laborious, they did usually mean spending quality time with her mother, time that Marian cherished. From birth, Marian and her mother had an especially strong bond. As Marian recalled of these early years, "Mother spent a lot of time in the kitchen. Because I was the eldest, I was soon allowed to remain with her when my sisters were tucked into bed. Sometimes I would try to help with little things, although I don't know how much use I really was to Mother." It was also in these shared moments that her mother noticed Marian's early interest in music. Marian would often sing as she did her chores, or tap the table rhythmically as she ate. As her mother remembered, even before the age of 2 years, Marian would sit at her toy piano and play and sing original ditties, sometimes in a loud voice, then in subdued tones, sincere and always highly delighted. Thus she would entertain herself for more than an hour at a time. And, as the author Jerry Ferris eloquently put it, "Some people know what they want to do from the very beginning. Marian Anderson did. She wanted to sing. From the very beginning, she said, music was more appealing than talk or toys. Some people, but not many, remember being 2 years old. Marian Anderson did. She remembered singing at the top of her voice to the colorful flowers on the wallpaper in the living room while she pounded away on a make-believe piano. But when Marian was 6 years old, she wanted to play more than just make-believe instruments. After seeing a local concert, Marian set her sights on getting her own violin. Spying one at a nearby pawn shop, she began scrubbing steps in her neighborhood to be able to afford it. As Marian wrote in her memoir, "Somebody took me to a concert and played a solo, and I thought, that's for me." The big thing then for making money was scrubbing steps for 4 or 5 different people. I finally saw the violin in a pawn shop, and my aunt went with me, and I think it cost all of $3. Because she had no extra money for lessons, Marian taught herself how to play the violin, and she strung the strings so hard and so often that eventually the instrument gave out. But most of Marian's early musical experience came from the Union Baptist Church, where her father was the head usher. By the age of 7, Marian began to sing in the church's children's choir. As soon as the choir's leader heard Marian's voice, she knew that Marian had an unusual gift for singing. Although Marian was one of the youngest members of the group, she was given solos with increasing frequency, and soon was singing in the church several times a week. Her church even advertised Marian's talents on a flyer, which read, "Come and hear the baby contralto, 10 years old." Marian was also 10 years old when she was accepted as the youngest member of the prestigious People's Chorus of Philadelphia, where she continued to be given solos over her elders. It was Marian's aunt who should be credited most for helping Marian pursue her early singing career. On top of singing in choruses, her aunt arranged for Marian to sing at other local churches, community benefit concerts, and the YMCA, and even made sure Marian was paid for her time, collecting up to 50 cents per event. But for Marian, the greatest gratification came from singing itself. She loved nothing more than to fill the room with her bellowing voice and watch the audience smile at its sound. She was particularly happy when she caught her parents beaming with pride from the church pews. As Marian once said, "Singing in the presence of other people seemed to me a normal activity all through the years of growing up. I loved to sing. I liked to have other people listen and was likewise glad to hear others perform." And when Marian was 10, she was given the opportunity to do more than just sing. One afternoon, Marian's father brought home a used piano for the family. Marian was so elated that she could hardly contain her emotion. As she later recalled, "When it arrived at our house, what excitement and joy! We ran our fingers over it, listening delightedly to the notes of the scale. I tried playing the scale with 5 fingers, slipping the thumb under the hand to get all 8 notes without a break, the way I had seen people play in school and church." Because her father had used all of his spare funds to buy the piano, he could not also afford lessons, and Marian set to task learning different notes and melodies from discarded music sheets. It took a lot of trial and error, but Marian was eventually able to accompany herself on the piano as she sang. Marian loved nothing more than to play for her father all the new songs she'd learned and show off her fast-growing skills. But 2 years later, tragedy would strike, and Marian's father would not survive to see Marian transform into the full musical talent she would one day become. In the autumn of 1910, Marian's father suffered a fatal blow to his head during a work accident at the Reading Terminal Market. He did not die instantaneously, but when he was receiving treatment from doctors, they also discovered a large tumor growing in his brain. He spent the next few weeks in and out of a coma at home and passed away just before Christmas. He was only 34 years old at the time of his death, and Marian only 12 years old when she lost her father. As Marian later recalled, "Father received an accidental blow on his head while at work and fell gravely ill. The doctor discovered later that he had a tumor. As Christmas approached, he laid helpless in bed. A short time later, Father died in our home. My sisters and I knew that tragedy had moved into our home, and we knew, too, that our lives would change." We'll continue our story after a brief word from our advertisers.
We're interrupting this podcast to ask you a very important question. Have you had your Hershey's? When you need to brighten up your day, put a smile on your face with the classic creamy texture and pure milk chocolate flavor of Hershey's milk chocolate. Whether you're eating it on the go, breaking off a few pieces for s'mores night, or just treating yourself to something sweet, Hershey's milk chocolate checks all the boxes. Shop for Hershey's milk chocolate now at a store near you, found wherever candy is sold.
'Tis the season of gifting and halls to deck, and the Who's in Who Newville were in love with new tech. Where can we find Sonos and Samsung and Nintendo, they shouted. Would they find it in one place? This they questioned and doubted. When suddenly a Who yelled, Walmart's the place to start! And each Who added headphones, TVs, and games to their carts. With Walmart, their shopping was done in a flurry. They cried out, "Who knew?" and ordered their gifts in a hurry. Shop the latest tech gifts in the Walmart app.
Lowe's early Black Friday deals are going fast. Don't miss up to 50% off select major appliances. Plus, up to an extra 25% off when you bundle select major appliances. And with Christmas around the corner, you're going to need more string lights, right? Save $4 on GE LED 100-count string lights, now just $5.98. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 12/3. Selection varies by location. Select locations only. While supplies last. See Lowe's.com for more details.
Hey everybody, it's Babs. You know, one thing that makes the holiday season so magical is the traditions we share year after year. And that's why I'm so excited to tell you about Birch Lane. Their classic furniture and festive decor is carefully crafted to bring joy to every seasonal celebration. Plus, it's delivered fast and free, so you can start spreading the holiday cheer. Shop my hand-picked Birch Lane collection and more classic styles at birchlane.com.
Welcome back, listeners. Now let's dive back in. Unfortunately, Marian's family received no life insurance or workers' compensation after her father's accident and death, and Marian's mother could no longer afford to continue to rent their home. With nowhere else to go, Marian's mother moved them into Marian's grandparents' house, where they shared the space with not only Marian's grandparents, but also her aunt and cousins. Though they were now living in tight quarters, Marian found the company of her grandparents soothing to her grieving heart, and she cherished the extended time she could spend with them. She grew particularly close to her grandfather, who had a soft and comforting presence. Born into slavery, her grandfather had converted to Judaism upon his emancipation in the 1860s, and he taught Marian about the Sabbath and Jewish holidays. But in a tragic twist of fate, her grandfather died just a year into Marian living with him, and she was once again thrust back into the throes of grief. Marian learned early in life that the best way to process her sorrows was by throwing herself into singing. And that's exactly what Marian did in the years following her father's and grandfather's deaths. Though her father was no longer there to accompany her, Marian still attended Sunday service every week at the Union Baptist Church, where she continued to sing in the choir. By the age of 13, she graduated from the junior to adult choir and began touring the country with them. As Marian wrote in her memoir, "I became convinced that my presence in the senior and junior choirs was not only a duty, but a necessity for the church and me, and I never missed a Sunday. The congregation made me feel that I was an indispensable part of what went on there. It was a stimulating experience." On top of church choirs, Marian also continued to sing at other local venues and events. As Marian approached her early teenage years, demand for her appearance grew, and she began to earn as much as $5 per performance, a significant sum for her age. As author Jerry Ferris beautifully wrote, "By this time, singing before large audiences was as natural and necessary to Marian as breathing. She knew her singing gave pleasure to those who heard it, and deep in her heart what she wanted most in the world was to study and to make music." But though Marian had set her hopes on formally studying music, she chose instead to take courses in typography when she began high school. Thinking more practically, Marian figured she could become a secretary to help support her family. But while music always came so naturally to Marian, typography did not, and she struggled to keep up with her schoolwork. The only bright part of her day was music class, where she continued to impress her elders, and was often given solos in school assemblies. It was during one of these performances that Marian left an impression on the principal of South Philadelphia High School, who recruited her to join their singing program. At her new school, Marian performed in front of audiences on a near daily basis. She was also taken out of school regularly to perform at other venues, like black colleges and churches. In addition, she continued to sing in her church's adult choir, as well as the Campfire Girls, a countrywide non-sectarian organization for girls, and eventually she joined the People's Chorus of Philadelphia. It was the People's Chorus of Philadelphia that in 1915 rallied behind Marian and helped her raise enough money to afford singing lessons. As they advertised, the People's Chorus has arranged to give a testimonial concert for Miss Marian Anderson, our young contralto. Miss Anderson, without a doubt, possesses one of the best contralto voices ever heard in the city for one of her years. With their help, Marian was able to pay for private lessons with Mary Patterson, known as the best black vocal coach in South Philadelphia. Marian studied with Miss Patterson for about a year, who taught Marian how to project her voice properly. Eventually, Miss Patterson suggested that Marian study with Agnes Reifsnyder, a notable contralto, who continued to help Marian's voice over the next 2 years. When Marian had outgrown Reifsnyder's help, she began taking lessons with Giuseppe Boghetti, arguably the most respected vocal teacher in all of Philadelphia. Boghetti was a strict coach who pushed his students to their best potential through excruciatingly difficult lessons. But Marian was grateful to Boghetti, who she felt really prepared her for her professional career and turned her into a proper classical singer. As Marian later shared, the years with Mr. Boghetti were invaluable, and as I see them in retrospect, I would not wish to have been without them. It was in Mr. Boghetti's studio that I became aware of the meaning of professionalism for a public performer. There I learned that the purpose of the exercises and labors was to give you a thoroughly reliable foundation. With her teacher's encouragement, Marian decided to apply to music school. But unfortunately, Marian was in for a rude awakening. When Marian arrived at the school to inquire about applications, she was barely allowed through the front door before the receptionist told her that black girls were not allowed. Marian was so appalled that she could barely stutter a reply. As Marian wrote in her memoir, "I don't think I said a word. I just looked at this girl and was shocked. I did not argue with her or ask to see her superior. It was as if a cold, horrifying hand had been laid on me. I turned and walked out. It was my first contact with the blunt, brutal words, and the School of Music was the last place I expected to hear them. True enough, my skin was different, but not my feelings. I tried to put the thought of music school out of my mind, for I could not help thinking of other music schools and wondering whether this would be their attitude too. I would not risk rejection again, and for some years the idea was not mentioned." Of course, Marian was sadly well aware that there were many places that she could not go as a black person. But this was the first time in her life that she had been denied something that she really loved and knew she deserved, due to the color of her skin. As Marian sullenly walked back home, her mother held her tight and whispered in Marian's ear, "A way will be found." Though Marian was crushed by the cruel realities of Jim Crow America, she did her best to hold her head high and find time for fun. And soon she would experience the thrills of young love. Marian met Orpheus Fisher, nicknamed King, at an after-party of a benefit concert she had performed in. King, a handsome young architecture student, immediately caught Marian's attention, an attraction that was mutual. In fact, King barely let Marian through the front doors before showering her with flattery. At the party, Marian also met King's brother. A few weeks later, King's brother showed up at Marian's house and asked her out. Marian was surprised to see him, but accepted his proposal and the two went on a few dates around Philadelphia. But on one of those dates, King unexpectedly showed up and declared, "This affair between you and my brother has to stop," and whisked Marian away. The two never looked back. As Marian described, "It was not long before King became my boyfriend. He was the younger of the two. King traveled up to Philadelphia to attend art school. He used to come over to our house after school, and we would play records on the phonograph he had borrowed for me." King was from a well-to-do family from Wilmington and was of mixed race, although most would consider him white passing. Like Marian's mother, Marian was introverted and shy, while King was talkative and social. But while they may have differed in these traits, they bonded over their shared professional ambitions and were both incredibly hardworking and determined. King supported Marian's dreams of becoming a singer, and Marian urged King to continue his studies in architecture. Though they saw each other as often as they could, eventually their respective careers began to get in the way of spending time together. As Marian recalled, "We continued to see each other often, but my concert work increased and he completed art school and a few years later went off to New York to study and to work. I felt badly when he left town. I cried. One gets swept up in a career, and one has little time for anything else." King proposed to Marian when she graduated high school, but though she loved him dearly, she knew that to be successful in singing, she needed to put her career first, and she ultimately turned him down. But it wasn't a total rejection. Instead, Marian asked King if he would wait to get married until both of their careers were in a good place. It wasn't a no, it was a not right now. As author Alan Keller remarked, "As Marian always remembered it, her romantic coming of age began and ended with Orpheus Fisher. Though Marian had decided to put her music first, she knew her heart would always belong to King." After high school, Marian fully devoted herself to her singing career. It was around this time that she began working with the popular accompanist Billy King, who Marian once said represented the ultimate accompanist to her. Billy not only accompanied Marian as she sang, but helped her book concerts at various different venues, including black colleges, theaters, and churches. Most notably, in April of 1918, when Marian was only 18 years old, Billy booked Marian a solo performance at the Philadelphia Academy of Music, one of the most notable venues in the entire city. Her performance was a massive success and skyrocketed her fame and demand. As Marian recalled, "My fee continued to rise, but what was important to me, I was beginning to appear in places where one could attract the attention of music lovers. My career was really growing. The more I sang, the more confident I became. It is not immodest, I think, to say that I was now beginning to feel that my voice was more mature, that it was developing. My voice was beginning to speak in a new way." In 1923, when Marian was only 26 years old, she became the first black performer to win the Philadelphia Philharmonic Society's singing concert, an achievement that was widely covered in the press. And that same year, Marian recorded her first collection of songs with Victor Talking Machine Company. Marian was encouraged by her growing success and had high hopes for her future. As she wrote, "I now felt that I had reached a turning point in my career, and I was certain that with continued study and concentration, I would be able to do whatever I undertook." It was with this confidence that Marian went into her biggest performance of her career to date, a solo concert at New York's Town Hall. Scheduled for April of 1924, Marian spent months preparing for the performance with her singing coach, putting together a program of songs in English, Italian, Russian, and German. On top of intense training, she also paid the cost of renting the space and piano and printing the program. She even agreed to not collect a fee for the performance, as she felt the exposure the concert would give her was more valuable than any amount of money. In return, she was promised a full house and prominent members of the press in attendance. On the evening of her performance, Marian was so excited that she could hardly contain herself. She practiced each and every song from her dressing room backstage. But when the time came for her to go on stage, Marian was told to wait. Nearly an hour went by as Marian anxiously awaited instruction to greet the audience. When she was finally given the green light, Marian was dismayed to see only a few people in the seats before her. As Marian later described, "I was assured that we would have a full house. Starting time came and passed, and the man who was to signal us to go out on stage did not come. It got to be 8:45 and I began to feel uneasy. Bill and I walked out on the stage. My heart sank. There was only a scattering of people in the hall. I had been misled, and the enthusiasm drained out of me. I felt miserably alone. I had had a lot of experience and had been foolish enough to think that I was prepared for anything. But I was only about 20, and I had a great deal to learn." Marian managed to get through the performance, but the poor turnout filled her with both embarrassment and shame. What should have been her breakthrough concert was instead a total bust. She returned to Philadelphia the next day feeling defeated. In fact, she felt so foolish for believing that she could be a success in New York that she swore off singing for good, telling herself, "That part of my life is finished." As Marian later wrote, "I was embarrassed that I had tried to sing in one of New York's concert halls without being fully ready, and I went to Philadelphia deeply disturbed. I did not want to see any music. I did not want to hear any. I did not want to make a career of it. I felt lost and defeated. The dream was over." The only thing that eased Marian's pain was that she was able to afford a new house for her, her mother, and her sisters with the money she had made from prior performances. Shortly upon returning to Philadelphia, they all moved into their new home together. Marian was happy to at least still be able to support her family. As she later shared, "One of my greatest comforts in this time of self-doubt was that Mother and my sisters and I were living in our own little house. We had taken the momentous step of buying it. It may seem that this was a chancy thing for us to do, but nothing could take the place of a home of one's own. Though the quarters were tight, with only 2 bedrooms for 4 people, the house was a major upgrade for the family. There was a large kitchen, a working bathroom, hardwood floors, and best of all, a space that Marian could use as a studio. As Marian shared, it was a luxurious feeling to have a studio all on my own at last. Unfortunately, having a studio space did not inspire Marian to pick singing back up. As she continued, "The sad truth is that I could not bring myself to practice in it a great deal. Every time I sang out, I had a guilty feeling that I was disturbing our neighbors." Instead, her studio space became a place for Marian to be alone with her thoughts. She admitted, "I could go, be alone, to think, and I'm afraid to brood. I kept rehashing the concert in my mind, lingering on some points." Over the course of the next few months, Marian avoided singing almost entirely. She tried to think of other jobs she could do, but nothing could excite her the same way singing had. She just kept thinking, nothing in life could be so important as music. On top of feeling uninspired by other careers, Marian also began to feel the weight of responsibility towards her family. After her father died, her mother had taken on a number of extra jobs to be able to provide for her children. As Marian once said, "She became a father to us as well as a mother, and earned our whole livelihood by taking in washing. It was terribly difficult for her, I know. It pained Marian to see how hard her mother was working just to survive, and she knew that she needed to do what she could to support her. As Marian continued, while I questioned myself on my vocation and drew nourishment from Mother's calmness and inner strength, I could not forget that our savings were small. I knew that I could not remain idle for long, but I could not bring myself to sing seriously. But as the months went on, the sting of Marian's failed performance began to fade, and with the help and support of her mother, Marian decided that she would return to singing with her head held high. In fact, her mother's words to her during this time would stay with her forever. As her mother advised her, "Listen, my child, whatever you do in this world, no matter how good it is, you will never be able to please everybody. All you can strive for is to do the best that is humanly possible for you to do." Slowly, Marian began to sing again. As she described, "It took a long time before I could confront singing again with enthusiasm, before the old conviction returned that nothing in life could be as important as music. In time, the wounds began to heal. I dared to sit down and try a song or two. Soon, I found myself singing again, accepting engagements and touring with Billy King, my accompanist. Not before long, Marian once again had a full schedule of shows and appearances. And her biggest break, that would catapult her into stardom, was just around the corner. In the summer of 1925, Marian entered a singing competition organized by the New York Philharmonic. The winner of the prize would be invited to sing as a soloist with the New York Philharmonic Orchestra, arguably the most revered orchestra in the world. On the day of her audition, Marian traveled from Philadelphia to New York City and joined a line of over 300 other competitors. After Marian sang her audition song, the judges liked her so much that they asked her to sing a second song. But Marian returned to Philadelphia that evening, having no idea if she had a real chance of winning. A few days later, she received a call that she had been selected as one of 16 finalists. Marian traveled back to New York to re-audition and was elated to hear that she had won the entire competition a few hours later. As the prize, Marian would perform as a soloist with the New York Philharmonic that August. Because the last time Marian had performed in New York had been a traumatic experience, Marian practiced so hard that she could practically give her performance in her sleep. This time, Marian would make sure that her New York breakout moment was a success. When the night of her performance arrived, Marian felt shaky with fear and anticipation. But much to her delight, when she stepped onto the stage, she was met with a full house of eager concertgoers. As Marian began to sing her first notes, her voice became more and more confident. By the end, the entire theater roared with applause. As Jerry Ferris wrote, not only the audience, but the orchestra applauded so loudly and with such appreciation that Marian felt as if the whole sky could not contain her happiness. When she finally left the stage with a bouquet of red roses in her arms, she felt the pain of her previous experience behind her. Marian's performance with the New York Philharmonic had been an immense success, and as a result, Marian was finally regarded as the serious classical singer she always believed she could be. We'll continue our story after a brief word from our advertisers.
We're interrupting this podcast to ask you a very important question. Have you had your Hershey's? When you need to brighten up your day, put a smile on your face with the classic creamy texture and pure milk chocolate flavor of Hershey's milk chocolate. Whether you're eating it on the go, breaking off a few pieces for s'mores night, or just treating yourself to something sweet, Hershey's Milk Chocolate checks all the boxes. Shop for Hershey's Milk Chocolate now at a store near you, found wherever candy is sold.
The Who's down in Who Newville were making their list, but some didn't know Walmart has the best brands for their gifts.
What about toys? Do they have brands kids have been wanting all year?
Yep, Barbie, Tony's, and Lego. Gifts that will make them all cheer.
Do you mean they have all the brands I adore?
They have Nintendo, Nespresso, Apple, and more.
What about...
So the Who answered questions from friends till they were blue. Each one listened and shouted, from Walmart? Who knew? Shop gifts from top brands for everyone on your list in the Walmart app.
It's never too early for Lowe's Black Friday deals. Snag some of our biggest savings of the season right now, like 25% off select pre-lit artificial Christmas trees. And get yourself free select DeWalt, Cobalt, or Craftsman tools when you buy a select battery or combo kit before the Black Friday rush. Because everyone loves free stuff, right? Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 12/3 while supplies last. Selection varies by location.
Hey neighbor, this holiday season, Birch Lane is here to help you celebrate with friends and family. From guest-ready dining tables to cozy sofas that fit the whole crew, our classic furniture and decor are crafted to last. And with fast free delivery, you can be ready for holiday hosting in days, not weeks. So you can spend time on what matters most. It's classic style for joyful living. Shop Birch Lane, a Wayfair specialty brand at birchlane.com.
Welcome back, listeners. Now let's dive back in. Riding on the curtails of her newfound fame, Marian decided to travel to Europe in the summer of 1927 to not only perform but also improve her German. Marian's favorite composer was Franz Schubert, and she wanted to be able to sing his songs in German with conviction. Though Marian had found success as a singer, she still did not earn enough to cover the costs of travel, and her trip was largely funded by the National Association of Negro Musicians. As Marian boarded the steamship and waved goodbye to her family, she was filled with both exhilaration and joy. Could Marian be as big of a success in Europe? What adventures lay waiting for her on the other side of her journey? Unfortunately, Marian's glamorous trip to Europe was immediately dampened by the fact that she was the only Black passenger on the ship and was forced to stay in a tiny second-class cabin. As the ship left the docks of America, Marian could still not escape its deep-rooted racism. When Marian finally arrived in England, she was invited to stay with the actor John Payne, a prominent figure in London's Black theater world. After a few weeks in London, Marian traveled to Sussex to study with the German master Raymond von Zermühlen. She also enrolled in both German and French classes at the Hugo Institute. Though most of Marian's time was spent training, she did perform at the Royal Albert Hall in London that fall. She ended up staying in Europe for almost a year, most of which time was spent in England and Germany. Marian was thrilled to find that not only did her German improve, but that in Europe she was treated as an equal, despite the color of her skin. Whereas in America, Marian had grown used to segregation and Jim Crow law. In Europe, Marian could eat, sit, and stay wherever she pleased. Despite the freedom she enjoyed in Europe, by the end of the year, Marian was ready to return to her family in Philadelphia, whom she missed dearly. Upon her return, Marian signed a one-year contract with the manager Arthur Judson, not only the director of the New York Philharmonic, but considered the most powerful talent manager in the country. Marian hoped that having such a prestigious manager would mean booking better venues and being paid a higher fee. And Judson certainly delivered. The first concert he scheduled for Marian was at the Philadelphia Academy of Music, a performance that not only meant a lot to Marian, but to the Black community of Philadelphia at large. As a Black writer for the Philadelphia Tribune wrote, "To think that one of our own, a young colored woman bringing 2,000 people, nearly all of our group, together to hear a repertoire of songs in French and German and English. Each person in that audience must have had a sense of pride to hear that small figure pour forth such golden notes. It will take such artists as Marian Anderson to help tear down racial prejudices through their message in song." Judson also scheduled solo concerts at the American Philharmonic Orchestra in Seattle, Carnegie Hall in New York, and Orchestra Hall in Chicago. Marian received glowing reviews after each performance. In one, written after her performance in Chicago, a critic declared, "Marian Anderson reached near perfection in every requirement of vocal art. The phrasing of utmost refinement, the style pure, discreet, certainly a talent of potential growth." It was also at this performance that Marian caught the attention of the philanthropist Julius Rosenwald, who ran a fellowship to support up-and-coming artists. He soon after awarded Marian the fellowship, and with it, $1,500 to fund her continued training. But though Judson was able to book Marian at distinguished venues, unfortunately, she still faced constant racial prejudice and was equally denied at many other venues. Judson, who was open enough to take on a Black performer as a client, ultimately fell short of truly defending Marian, never willing to take a bold stance against these racist policies and institutions. Feeling worn down by her own country, Marian decided to use the money she was awarded through the Rosenwald Fund to return to Europe and continue her studies in German in Berlin. As author Alan Keller wrote, "On the 12th of June, she set sail for Europe from New York, her spirits buoyed by the support of the Rosenwald Committee, a growing sense of purpose, and a deep belief in herself." Marian arrived in Berlin in June of 1930. After a few months of studying German, Marian's German skills improved immensely. That October, in an effort to show off her new language skills, Marian organized a solo performance at the Bachsaal Concert Hall in Berlin, paying for the venue herself. Luckily, it was well worth the cost. Marian received overwhelmingly positive reviews. One review read, "Marian Anderson is very musical, and she gives, without posing, strong and genuine expression, and is a mistress of the styles of performance. Women concert singers are few and far between. Here we have one who will continue to engage our attention." The performance was such a success that Marian was offered the opportunity to tour Scandinavia, singing in Stockholm, Helsinki, and Copenhagen. It was on this tour that Marian was first introduced to the accompanist Kosti Vihanen, who would continue to be her accompanist for decades to come. Her concerts were so popular that she began to sell out venues. Marian had never felt so confident as a singer. As she later wrote, "That first trip to the Scandinavian countries was an encouragement and an incentive. It made me realize that the time and energy invested in seeking to become an artist were worthwhile, and that what I had dared to aspire was not impossible. The acceptance by these audiences may have done something for me in another way. It may be that they made me feel that it is possible that I sang with a freedom that I had not had before." Marian was indeed struck by how open-minded Scandinavians were, never feeling any sort of prejudice due to the color of her skin. As she wrote of her time in Copenhagen, "I felt very much at home in Copenhagen. Even at the hotel, I was made as welcome and comfortable as if I were among my own people and closest friends. People seemed happy to be with you. They accepted you as an individual in your own right, judging you for your qualities as a human being, an artist, and for nothing else. In Scandinavia, Marian felt, for maybe the first time in her life, fully free to be herself. When the tour was done, Marian decided to stay in Europe, enjoying the freedom it offered her. In 1935, she continued to tour Scandinavia, followed by London, Prague, and Paris. She was particularly popular in Paris. One laudatory review reading, "Marian Anderson, do not forget this name, and it will be famous before very long in Paris. When I will have told you that Marian Anderson, a black singer, possesses one of the most beautiful voices at present, wonderfully steady, full-bodied and agile, of an astonishing expertness of distinction that brings her interpretations intensely to life. The first contract of this young black artist with Paris constitutes a dazzling victory, one that calls for an even greater effect." It was also during one of her Parisian performances that Marian first met the famed American talent agent Saul Hurrick, who represented musical greats such as Benny Goodman. Hurrick was so impressed by Marian's voice that he immediately found her backstage after her performance and asked if he could represent her. And more than this, he wanted to re-present her in America as one of the greatest American voices of their generation. The offer was tempting, and despite how much she enjoyed Europe, she did feel homesick, especially missing her mother. After some deliberation, Marian decided to work with Hurrick and return to America as soon as she completed her summer concert schedule in Europe. That summer, Marian performed in Moscow, Brussels, Vienna, and Salzburg. In Salzburg, another special person was in the audience: the renowned Italian conductor Arturo Toscanini. Toscanini was so impressed with Marian that during the intermission, he went backstage to meet her. Shaking her hand, Toscanini declared, "Yours is a voice such as one hears once in 100 years." As Marian recalled of this moment, "I had the great good fortune to sing for an audience that included Arturo Toscanini. I was as nervous as a beginner. The sight of him caused my heart to leap and throb so violently that I did not hear a word he said. All I could do was mumble a 'thank you, sir, thank you very much,' and then he left." And Toscanini was not the only conductor impressed with Marian. Throughout the 2 years she spent touring across Europe, she became the favorite of many of the best conductors and composers of modern history. As winter approached, Marian was ready to return to America after 2 years away. Although she cherished her time in Europe and the freedom it granted her, Marian never considered Europe her home. While she could certainly understand why Black Americans were choosing to move to Europe, where they were treated more equally, for Marian, she knew in her heart that America was where she belonged, despite its shortcomings. As she once wrote, "Some people have wondered why I did not decide to make my permanent home in Europe, which had accepted me, as others of my group had done on occasion. No such thought ever entered my mind. I had gone to Europe to achieve something, to reach for a place as a serious artist. But I never doubted that I must return. I was and am an American. I wanted to come home. I knew I needed to test myself as a serious artist in my own country." As Marian set sail to return to America, her mind must have been racing with questions. Would she be able to find the same success in her home country as she had in Europe? Or would she be held back by racial prejudice and injustice? Would her voice be powerful enough to break down racial barriers and unite a divided nation? As Marian looked out at sea into the unknown, she could not have known the immense success that awaited her on the horizon. Success that would not only turn her into a national icon, but would pave the way for the civil rights movement and the fight for racial equality in America. I hope you have enjoyed part 1 of our 2-part episode on Marian Anderson. We will finish Marian's story and honor her immense legacy in part 2 of this episode. I have included images, resources, and suggestions for further reading on the ArtMuse website and Instagram. ArtMuse is produced by Kula Production Company. Today's episode was written by me, your host, Grace Anna. Stay tuned as I continue to share the stories of the women behind some of the world's most important works of art. Until next time, bye for now.
We're interrupting this podcast to ask you a very important question. Have you had your Hershey's? When you need to brighten up your day, put a smile on your face with the classic creamy texture and pure milk chocolate flavor of Hershey's milk chocolate. Whether you're eating it on the go, breaking off a few pieces for s'mores night, or just treating yourself to something sweet, Hershey's milk chocolate checks all the boxes. Shop for Hershey's milk chocolate now at a store near you, found wherever candy is sold.
Hey neighbor, this holiday season, Birch Lane is here to help you celebrate with friends and family. From guest-ready dining tables to cozy sofas that fit the whole crew, our classic furniture and decor are crafted to last. And with fast free delivery, you can be ready for holiday hosting in days, not weeks. So you can spend time on what matters most. It's classic style for joyful living. Shop Birch Lane, a Wayfair specialty brand at birchlane.com.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy to see if you could save when you bundle your home and auto policies. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.